Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the very first episode of Jen, Why Are We Here? This is your co-host, the Self-Supremacy Everett Crede, a.k.a. The Freak Show Lips, a.k.a. Jack Thomas, a.k.a. just Everett, really. And obviously my co-host here is J Joker Designs, a.k.a. Ace Whistler, a.k.a. Justin. Justin, how you doing today, man?
Hey, I'm doing all right. So while we're recording, it is April 10th. So we'll see how far this goes along. So let's get this on the road, shall we? I think we got a lot to talk about on this first edition of Gen Wiry here, and I think it's because it was WrestleMania 35.
Absolutely, and not only that, but we're going to be pretty much covering WrestleMania weekend, so including NXT TakeOver New York, the Hall of Fame ceremony, as well as WrestleMania. We are not, however, going to be covering the Raw or SmackDown after WrestleMania, since that's technically not WrestleMania weekend.
And also because they were pretty lackluster.
I mean, if we're just going to go ahead and pretty much spoil some things, I'm pretty sure you know already. Other than Bird Box Bray and Elias getting interrupted by The Undertaker, I think it's all been pretty lackluster. Lackluster Lars Sullivan, if you will. It's just been quite a bust.
Let's not start on the Lars Sullivan hate already, but let's get on to what we need to talk about. We can debate about that much later.
All right, let's talk about the first major event of the weekend, which took place on Friday, April 5th, 2019, which is NXT TakeOver New York, which is in the Barclays Center at Brooklyn, New York. Justin, chat me up. Why do you think they decided to give it, even though it has been NXT TakeOver Brooklyn over and over again, why now are they going to change the name to NXT TakeOver New York?
Because they did two takeovers in Brooklyn, I think, last year. They did one at the beginning of the year and then one at the end of the year. So that could be a possibility. Honestly, it's like if you name it TakeOver Brooklyn 5 and then you have 6 later on in the year. To be quite honest, I think they made the right decision. And considering that it's not, they didn't call WrestleMania, WrestleMania Brooklyn, when even though it was in New Jersey. I kind of get the reason why they did that. So it's different. And plus, with Brooklyn, they never did the New York theme in general.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's, I guess, the best way to describe it. All right, so let's get to the first match. This is obviously the first match of NXT TakeOver New York, and it's the War Raiders, Hanson and Rowe, took on Aleister Black and Ricochet. The War Raiders, pretty cool look, pretty cool entrance. Ricochet has a good entrance, but let's talk about Aleister Black's entrance, because this is the first time that Aleister makes his way to the ring, and you could really hear the crowd singing to his theme song. I don't know about you, but this really gave me chills. Like when Aleister Black's entrance in general might be the best entrance in all of WWE, maybe even in all of wrestling.
Well,
what do you think?
Well, honestly, I'm surprised that it didn't happen sooner when he first debuted, like when he was NXT champion, that people just started singing the song. It's a catchy as hell song. And so with the main thing that I noticed besides the crowd is, if you noticed the past couple episodes of like Raw and SmackDown when he was on, they added this very weird and pretty cheesy as hell sound effect when when the board comes up and he gets lifted up. It's like a drawbridge or like a creaking door. And you don't notice it here. And it's like, the first thing I said was, thank God. Because it's like, okay, his entrance is good enough as it is. You don't need to add a corny sound effect to it. And with the crowd, like, singing, his theme song and everything, it gave me chills too. And I was at work when this was happening. So it was pretty cool to see. in my opinion. Like Ricochet, I always loved Ricochet's entrance. I'll kind of allude to what we're going to talk about later. The main thing I was worried about WrestleMania 35 was their position of the card, because if they had an entrance during the daytime, I felt it would not be very good for them. So the fact that they had their entrances both at night were pretty good.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, so pretty much I would go on and say that. Oh man, I mean, Aleister Black's entrance, like I said, probably the best entrance in all of WWE. I remember I always, every time that I'd be talking to anyone in UW, it could be Ange, it could be Cam, or just about anybody. Every time I talk about that song, it's just so freaking catchy, and when he
It's
rises up, it's just a perfect
yeah,
entrance, and then you have the
it's one of my
candles set
favorite
up.
songs in general. It's just because what I'm noticing is there's a lot of care in theme songs more now. Like, because, you'd have like those songs here or there that would be catchy as hell, but they wouldn't be fitting for the right people. Like, here's a blast to the past. You remember the B Team when they were relevant and they had the Battle Scars theme that didn't fit, and then they got their theme changed and their push was over instantly.
Oh my God! The fact that we even mentioned
Battle
the
Scars! Yeah, that one.
oh my God, no, let's not. The
Hey,
fact that
hey,
we've even
B Team, go, go, go.
Ace, the fact that you've even mentioned the fucking B team in the same sentence as Aleister Black, already I'm having doubts about how good this show is going to really be.
Ah,
Uh, all right, well, hopefully our views didn't leave once you mentioned B team. So let's just,
hey, if
pretty
they
much
got
let.
up, if anything.
So the War Raiders ended up defeating Alistair and Ricochet in 21 minutes and 10 seconds. The matchup starts pretty interesting because it looks like these guys, whether it be Rowe or, I think it was Rowe that, looked like he was able to, punch Alistair, and then he held back, and then Alistair was going to kick him and he held back. Kind of like, I got you right where I want you, and the only reason you're not knocked out is because I'm letting you, is because I'm letting you back up. And it was pretty cool that they kind of put each other in what I like to call professional wrestling checkmate, and then they go back off to a stalemate. I thought it was a pretty interesting way to start it up. But, the ending of the match, Ricochet goes for the 630 and, doesn't land it. And then the War Raiders take advantage with the fallout. Overall, pretty good match. I think the fans were actually disappointed to see the War Raiders, not to see the War Raiders win so much, but maybe they were disappointed to see Aleister Black and Ricochet lose. Check me
Well,
out, Wilson. What do you think about this tag match?
So I felt like the MVP of that entire match was Hanson from the War Raiders. It was honestly, it's the match that I felt, it did kick off WrestleMania week with that bang. And, it's kind of Aleister Black and Ricochet's farewell to NXT, I believe. And so it's an interesting way. You don't hardly see two single competitors go out as a tag team, like Aleister Black and Ricochet. And with them moving to the main roster, I'm kind of very curious to see how long that their tag team's going to be, and when they're going to separate them, and then that's when they have they have their own separate paths, and then they reconjoin again. I feel very torn at the fact that Black and Ricochet are going to be on main roster now, but I feel like the tag division in NXT is going to need a little bit of fuel in the fire now that we have the War Raiders as tag champions, which we talked about Aleister Black and Ricochet's entrances. The War Raiders entrance, I love the Viking theme that they're going with now. They have fully committed into it, especially with, the name War Raiders itself and everything. I feel it's perfect. It kind of gives you that ominous feel of, oh shit, something's gonna go down when the War Raiders are there, and it's spectacular. And I'm I understood why they retained their tag titles, and honestly, it was a good decision considering that your opposition was already on the main roster as it is. So it's very good. I felt this tag match was excellent. Like I said, like you said, 21 minutes is a pretty good kickoff to WrestleMania week, and the countless hours, and then eventually WrestleMania week drags on after Sunday night heads into Monday and Tuesday.
Well, I mean, hell, WrestleMania went into Monday. If if you want to be
Yeah.
literal about that, believe me. But we'll get to that later
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. That's,
Like you said, the War Raiders. I remember when these guys were really breaking out, and they reminded me very much of the Viking show, like you see on the History Channel. If you wrestling fans don't know about it, definitely check it out. It's actually a pretty awesome show. You could probably see recaps of it on Hulu, and there's a
I think
character
Edge's
named
on that too.
Ragnar Lothbrok, played by Travis Fimmel, amazing character. And when I watch how these Vikings go into battle, and they the whole their strategy is they yell shield wall, and all the Vikings put their shields up, and that prevents the enemy from penetrating through the shield wall. It's very reminiscent of how the War Raiders come out, and it just reminds me very much of that show in a real life Viking way, a Viking lifestyle, I should say. So it's definitely caught on NXT, but I don't know how it's going to end up being when it gets to the main roster. But then again, Heavy Machinery's doing pretty decent right now, so
The Caterpillar.
I have
Yeah,
no idea.
you wanna know how excellent they're doing? They already had their last names dropped. So I think it's going pretty well so far.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so let's move on ahead. Next matchup, we have the Velveteen Dream facing Matt Riddle for the NXT North American Championship.
Was that actually the next match after that?
Yeah, that was the second match. The original Bro.
Oh, I thought that was later in the card, to be honest.
No, that actually went on second. The original Bro comes out first, and then Velveteen Dream comes out in a very Macho King Randy Savage-esque entrance. Only instead of being the Velveteen King, he is the Statue of Liberty, paying homage to New York City and being carried to the ring on his throne. And I gotta say, once again, I'm gonna be honest with you. I know right now Johnny Gargano has been given the name Johnny Takeover, but I'm gonna be honest with you. If there's anyone that is Mr. Takeover, it is the Velveteen Dream. His entrances, his bravado, he really is the show stealer. And if anyone, in my opinion, deserves that moniker, more so than Gargano, in my opinion, it's Velveteen Dream, because he's always stealing the spotlight.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off, but his entrance kind of proves a good point that, needs to be proven. A spectacular entrance doesn't have to be, thousands to billions of dollars worth of pyro and all that. And I felt like, that was a big thing with CAW as well. Like, shit, I remember 2011 when I first came in CAW, everybody had fucking pyro. And now that pyro's kind of gone out the window with in WWE, it's cool to see the pyro come back in like WrestleMania and such. But like, you don't even need that when you have an entrance kind of like the Velveteen Dreams. Like, he had the smoke and everything, and that was about it. And I loved the way that this was shot, where it was the light that was shining on the silhouette of the Velveteen Dream holding the torch. And the outline of the crowd and everything in the torch, and then the smoke comes up, and then it goes into his theme, and then you see him. I felt that was shot beautifully. And it's perfect. It fits, exactly kind of like that. It gives me what I missed. What I missed in wrestling. And God, I can go on for days about camera cuts and all that shit, and like the way that wrestling is shot in the Fed now. But I'm not going to get into that right now. We're talking about NXT TakeOver. We're talking about the Dream. Let's also
Yeah.
transition into, it's not just Dream that's sporting the New York theme. Matt Riddle coming out with the Yankees pinstripes.
Yep, kind of the reverse psychology of what CM Punk did back in Night of Champions in Boston, because Punk did it to be a heel wearing the pinstripes in Boston. Matt Riddle does it as a baby face to wear the Yankee pinstripes in New York. However, it really does seem like the crowd is, I would say, maybe 60-40. I'm going to say for Velveteen Dream, maybe even 70-30, because I mean, when you have somebody as charismatic as the Velveteen Dream, it's going to be hard for anyone to cheer against that. And so what happens is in this matchup, Matt Riddle. This matchup seems like Riddle really does his MMA, Muay Thai kind of stuff, and he locks in the Bro Mission, and Velveteen
I
Dream
love
rolls him
that
up.
name. I love
The
that
Bro
name, by the way.
Mission,
It's great.
pretty cool. Which is not the Kata Hajime, not the Taz mission, but the
Well,
Bro
yeah.
mission. But also, what it wasn't was Matt Riddle sourced the victory because Velveteen Dream would roll him up for the 3 count in 17 minutes and 35 seconds.
And the finish of that I actually did like because it makes it look like we're gonna get a second chapter in that. And it also gives it the show of respect. We haven't seen Velveteen Dream get that show of respect in the feud like since Aleister Black. So I felt it was very cool to see, you know, Riddle didn't heel out or anything because of his loss. He's like, oh, you got me on this one, but I got you on the next one. So I'm kind of excited to see if they're going to go for a sequel to this. But overall, it's like I loved this match. It was a polar opposite of styles. You got to see Riddle kind of break his Californian bro like demeanor, and he got really pissed off. And I I love that turn because this is where you and I are going to differ. So back in the Independence when I watched Matt Riddle's Bloodsport, which is actually Mania around last year, you got to see that too, and it's like it goes to what some people known him when he was in the UFC and everything, and that's that all around MMA style, which is now getting slowly incorporated into WWE thanks to not just him, but Ronda Rousey. Lesnar introduced it when he came back in 2012. You got more of an MMA style now in WWE. And so I enjoyed the match. Like, I enjoyed Velveteen Dream. I love the buildup of two ladies carrying the couch, and he's laying on it watching Riddle fight Kona Reeves on NXT, and he goes that he's worthy of the North American title shot. I loved that. The build was pretty good on Velveteen Dream's side. Overall, though, the ending of the match I felt worked out in a way where there's no decisive winner or loser. It's like Velveteen Dream outsmarted Matt Riddle, but Matt Riddle beat the holy hell out of him. There's that German spot where he lifted him up from the second rope while Dream was on the apron, and that was freaking mental. And so overall, like I said, I enjoyed the match.
Well, there was definitely a lot of showmanship and flamboyancy and a lot of sizzle. And the next match is pretty much 180 degrees the other way. We have Walter going against Pete Dunne for the United Kingdom Championship. You know what? I gotta say, I really like the idea of this United Kingdom title. It kind of reminds me of a modern version of the European Championship, only it's not really a low card title. It's very prestigious. And, Triple H bringing NXT to the United Kingdom, I think, is just adding the first W into WWE. It also reaches out to certain demographics, and if you're looking for this kind of a style, you're going to want to tune into this program. So, like, if you're looking for high flying, flippity spots, all that kind of stuff, you might want to tune into a 205. If you want, just complete down dirty wrestling, you're going to want to tune into maybe a NXT UK. If you like the showmanship and you like the entertainment value, that's where you're going to tune into like a Monday Night Raw or a SmackDown Live. And, I think they do a very good job at reaching all demographics. So with this matchup, you have Walter, who is a colossus athlete, over 300 pounds, going up against the bruiserweight Pete Dunne, the United Kingdom champion. And, my God, this match was absolutely stiff as a board. Stan Hansen was definitely watching this match with a smile on his face.
Yeah.
Chat me up. What did you think about these guys really going to town on one another?
So, when the moment that Walter came out at NXT TakeOver Blackpool, I knew that this match was going to happen. I didn't know when and I didn't know where. Today was the when, or that day was the when and where. And I was legitimately terrified of this match. Not because of, I was worried that the match was going to be bad or anything. I was going to be worried that one of these men are going to go out on a damn stretcher. Because I know how brutal Walter is, especially with his chops. He was very known for that. There's a picture up from, coincidentally, Mania last year as well, where he fought Pierre Carl Roulet, or PCO. He's in Ring of Honor now. He used to be one of the Quebecers in the old WWF. And so it's insane to think of that. And then you have Pete Dunne, who was kind of the, he was the, what's the best way? He ushered in he was one of the few focal points that ushered in the UK style base of wrestling with him and Trent Seven and Tyler Bate to this new demographic of the WWE. And so I was very worried, and honestly, some of the stuff that happened in this match, it kind of showed exactly why I should have worried. And so there was a couple brutal spots that just kind of terrified me. The ending itself was what scared me. But it's a good scare. It's like you want to go see a scary movie. You want to watch that. You want to see what happens, and that's exactly what we saw.
Walter ended up, it was definitely a battle. I was very surprised Pete was able to hit the bitter end on the 300-plus pound Walter. Both of these guys are tougher than $2 stakes. Pete Dunne definitely reminds me of a kind of like I'm going to take a Yu-Gi-Oh term here, a polymerization of William Regal and Fit Finlay back in the old WCW days, and completely earned his reputation of being the bruiserweight. I actually loved his attire with the bear.
I love the colors he's been doing with the attire.
The color scheme's really cool. Bears have a very special place in my heart, and to see Pete rocking this and to see what he does and how he's literally breaking apart his opponents finger by finger, figuratively and literally. It just really fit for Pete Dunne. But, however, Walter would defeat him in 25 minutes and 40 seconds. Ended up with a power bomb off the top rope.
That was
both of these guys, we recognize that. I think Pete Dunne recognized he had many options. I don't think he's going to be thanking Walter for Walter Airlines for that power bomb, because it was definitely a rough landing.
That was the best compliment you can give it is it was a Mike Awesome level power bomb from that, and that was pretty great. And it just I saw that and I audibly yelled, "Oh shit!" So
I thought to myself,
it was good.
The only problem I had, maybe because maybe this is because it's his finish, I'm not sure, but I thought right then and there that should have damn well been the 3 count, but it wasn't enough for old Walter. He had to go to the top rope and hit a splash, and it kind of actually pissed me off because that power bomb was absolutely devastating. And I'm going to be honest with you, that splash kind of looked. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's good. It's impressive to see somebody his size executing a splash from the top rope, but I just felt like it kind of edited. The power bomb was so impactful, and then that splash kind of felt like a little dud. It just didn't do it for me. I wish I kind of pinned him with the power bomb. I think that would have definitely been more than enough.
I kind of liked having the splash at the end because it kind of put the nail in the coffin. Because we got to think about Pete Dunne had the longest reigning title run in modern WWE. He held that for 632 days or 35 days, somewhere around that level. And so that's pretty nuts to think that's how it ended. Was that friggin' big ass power bomb and a big ass splash at the end of it. So honestly, I know that there's gonna be a round 2, and then after the round 2, I think that's when we get to see a bruiserweight up on the main roster. I feel like that's what's gonna eventually happen. It's gonna be treated much like the call up to NXT. I think it's gonna be no different. So, like I said, I'm just gonna wait and see how that goes. I'm gonna wait for that round 2 because I know it's gonna happen.
All right. Well, with that being said, we're going to move on now to the Fatal 4-Way for the NXT Women's Championship. Shayna Baszler will go, well, not so much one-on-one, but more like one-on-one-on-one with Bianca Belair. How do you pronounce Akari Sane and
Io
Shirai?
Io Shirai.
Yo Shirai, must be like a silent I or something like that, or
it's Io.
Yeah, Io Shirai. Yeah, so Yo Shirai, who's
oh my god, I'm gonna kill you.
Breaking out on the breaking out on the tag team scene with Kairi Sane, but now they're gonna have to be opponents against Bianca Belair and Shayna Baszler for the NXT Women's Championship. This matchup, chat me up, because I'm going to be honest with you. If Shayna went against any 3 of these women, I know Kairi Sane beat her before for the Mae Young Classic and as well as the NXT Women's Championship before, but I don't think any of these 3 really, I could say, let's just say I wouldn't put my money on them to walk out NXT Women's Champion against Shayna Baszler. I mean, Shayna she is an absolute machine, and in my eyes, she is very much similar to that of a Brock Lesnar for the NXT Women's division, and I just don't see anyone being able to dethrone her.
I feel like the issue that is happening slowly is you're kind of getting the same treatment of Shayna Baszler in these big time matches, which I think is good because it's always the MMA feel. However, we're kind of slowly realizing that there's the moment Shayna loses the title is going to be the moment that she most likely will be called up to the main roster. So
my question is,
it's a
do
moment.
You honestly think if you want my honest opinion, I don't think she's going to lose the title. I think she's just going to fork it up and say, "I'm going on to bigger and better things." I can't see anyone in NXT. Who can you honestly see in NXT in the women's division defeating Shayna Baszler for
at the moment
championship?
Nobody. And that's not a bad thing. That's more so of this means that the moment that she does lose that title, that's going to be the moment that, it's going to be a very different era of NXT.
I was going to say that's, the day Shayna Baszler loses the NXT Women's Championship is the day you see me coming out wearing a fucking tutu, but I honestly
Um,
can't say that now.
yeah, we definitely
I
can.
don't
Um,
I don't think I could say that. So
no, you
for
cannot.
certain reasons.
You, yeah, we'll get into that
So
much later.
so Bianca Belair hits a double KOD. On Yoshirai and Kari Sane. And then out of nowhere, Shayna Baszler catches Bianca with a kick to the face and then locks in the Karafuda clutch. And just like NXT TakeOver in, where were they last? Phoenix. Yeah, so NXT TakeOver Phoenix wins by submission. Chat me up. 0 for 2 for Bianca Belair with the submission. She was undefeated for the longest time, and now she has fallen victim twice to this devastating finish, the Karafuda. Now, hold on. Before I get into this, this is the only problem I have here with Shayna Baszler. Is, look, I understand, the MMA background and all that. But is it just me, or does everybody have a version of this move as a finish? And literally, like, I feel like everybody has this modified sleeper hold rear naked choke as a finish. I mean, you have Karafuda clutch for Shayna Baszler. You have the Kokita clutch with Samoa Joe. I'm pretty sure, there's other. You have the Bro Mission by Matt Riddle. I mean, it seems like everybody has this modified fucking sleeper hold, and god damn it, I'm looking for some originality here. Why can't anyone in this submission background find another finisher except for this? Let's just call it a sleeper hold with a funky, wacky name to it, because that really seems to be the most popular finish in today. I mean, look at the Black Bullet, for crying out loud. Let's take a look at him. I mean, he's got it too. He like, why does everybody have
Yeah,
this move as a finish?
I don't know. Like the thing is, there's not as many people that can do it as well as the people that have it now. So, and I believe that the differences are the way it's locked in. Like the Coquina clutch with Joe is, kind of like a rear naked choke. With Shayna Baszler, same exact thing, but she has multiple setups. And honestly, the submission maneuvers itself, the rear naked choke is a classic finish move, especially for those of the MMA background, or those of the kind of like the brawler type or like the technical type. A submission move is great. Everett, how many people use the sharpshooter now? Too many.
You got two. You got Natalia and you got Cesaro.
Yeah, but also look at Rock's used it. Shawn Michaels has used it. Triple H at one point used it. Bret Hart, that was his finish. So it's the fact of it's going to be a whole debate of that. We know that we'll probably go over the debate about that sometime. The finishers of old days are not the finishers of new days. That's for sure. However, I do like the fact that they are actually kept as finishers. And you don't see anybody else that is, if you see somebody that is going to be battling, like say Samoa Joe, and then somebody else comes in with a rear naked choke and everything. It's a battle of the Coquina clutch versus the insert name for the rear naked choke here. I feel like it's all entirely based on how it fits the character and how it's locked in. I personally love Samoa Joe with the Coquina. I love the Karafuda clutch on Baszler, especially when she does the suplex lift. It's fantastic.
All right, well, going into the main event here, which is the longest match of the weekend, 38 minutes and 25 seconds. Johnny Gargano faces Adam Cole in a 2 out of 3 falls match for the vacant NXT Championship. Johnny Gargano comes out in a very, what would you say, Iron Man? Was that Iron Man or was
It
that
was
the
absolutely
Flash?
Iron Man.
Iron Man. Okay, so
It is
he
most
does.
definitely Iron Man.
I was gonna say it definitely reminded me more of Iron Man but didn't he do an Iron Man one before?
Nope. So his past takeover, which was Phoenix, was coincidentally Phoenix from X-Men. Before then was he had the Punisher, Captain America, Star Lord, and then he also had like a Thor Ragnarok face attire as well.
All
So
right, so
honestly, Johnny
one is the
Gargano
Iron
with the
Man.
comic book themed attires is takeover.
So Johnny Gargano faces Adam Cole, and Adam Cole to me has a very inspiring entrance, and it really persuades me to buy into Adam Cole. You could just see he's cool, calm, collected, has control over the audience. With the boom, and then as whoever's announcing him in the match, she says from Panama City, Florida, Adam Cole, and he does the taunt, and the crowd chants "baby," and it was like
You did that
so.
wrong. It
Well,
is
Adam Cole,
baby.
baby. That's They say baby.
Uncultured swine, you.
Anyway, so we go into this matchup, and I'm going to be honest. I really think the crowd here is, when the match starts, I would say 80-20 Adam Cole. I'm sorry, Adam Cole, baby. So, what do you think? Why do you think the crowd was so hot on Adam Cole? And so, I mean, this is really, let's be honest, the way they've been building this is that it's Johnny Gargano's road to the NXT Championship, and all of a sudden, everybody is now on board with Adam Cole. Why do you think that is?
Why do I think that is? Well, there's multiple things. With Adam Cole, this is his first shot at the NXT title, I believe, on a takeover. Yeah, it's his first time. It's his first shot on NXT title on takeover. At least I think. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not entirely sure now.
Well, do you think maybe it's because it's a little obvious?
So,
Like, it's kind of
I
like,
feel
oh,
like
wait a minute. Gather around. Johnny Gargano is going to defeat Adam Cole here. So the crowd now all of a sudden appreciates Adam Cole more because they're thinking, wait a minute, why is it so obvious that Gargano's winning? Adam Cole deserves it just as much, if not maybe more. Because I don't know about you, I was rooting for Adam Cole.
I was very interested to see. They could have gone both ways, but the main factor of like why this match happened and everything was because unfortunately Tommaso Ciampa was injured, and that was the big thing. Was I wasn't entirely sure that they were going to be willing to put up with another heel holding the NXT title. Yeah, it would be different because it's the entire Undisputed Era, which I love the Undisputed Era. At the same time, it is kind of telling the same story with a new player with Johnny Gargano. Instead of Tommaso Ciampa, you have Adam Cole, and he's trying to fight the odds. With the injury of Ciampa, you never get to see that closure of the story of what could be. But with Ciampa going to surgery, and then with the ending, which I know we'll get to, that's where things get kind of interesting of the whole storyline of what to think, and if I'm reading it in too much. But with Adam Cole using the fairy tale ending at one point onto the announcer's table on Johnny Gargano during that match, it kind of was, it's kind of like almost Tommaso put it up to himself to train Gargano to kind of overcome the odds. but it's very, very weird to say. Am I happy that let's get into it, that Johnny Gargano wins the match? Yeah, I'm definitely. It's about time that he did win it, because he was going to win it. Makes it sweet. It's very bittersweet because he couldn't do it. He didn't get his full on revenge against Tommaso Ciampa. However, I loved certain points of that match. I don't think it's until after the first fall happens that's where Undisputed Era starts coming in, and then
Well,
they get
yeah,
all
so
that
pretty
stuff
much
in.
what happens there is Adam Cole gets the first fall with the last shot, I believe, to the back of the head. And then, a lot of momentum right now for Adam Cole. But then Gargano would lock in the Gargano escape, and then almost immediately Adam Cole would tap out, realizing, better submit now and prevent any further damage in this submission hold so that I can be a lot more fresh going into fall number 3. So then they go into the third and final fall, and that's where you get Roderick Strong, Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish, and it really seems that each and every time the match is won for Adam Cole, Gargano would, no pun intended, Gargano would escape. And, one after the other, you have the Undisputed Era take out Johnny Gargano. Then you have the Panama Sunrise. One after the other. Then he hits the last shot. Gargano kicks out. And then finally, in the end, at 38 minutes and 25 seconds, Adam Cole looks for the final last shot. Gargano would duck and then lock in the Gargano escape. Cole would try to reach the rope. Gargano would pull him, kind of roll him over back to the center of the ring. Very similar to the main event of WrestleMania 20 with Triple H and that other guy. And Gargano would get Cole to tap out, thus crowning a new NXT champion. And of course, Johnny Gargano would celebrate with his wife and surprise Tommaso Ciampa. So, chat me up. Why do you think, the last time we saw these two at the stage hugging it out, Ciampa went to throw Gargano's head back into the stage again, and Gargano would see it coming, and Gargano would get his redemption. And now, the next time we see Tommaso Ciampa, all of a sudden, all is forgiven with these three. Why do you think now, just because Gargano won the title and now Tommaso has a change of heart? Like, I'm just trying to figure out.
It could
are they
be
pulling back the curtain?
So, are they pulling back the curtain? Yes and no. So, this is what I'm thinking. There's a theory, somebody reading into the storyline I read just after this, just Sunday before Mania, where somebody was talking about this. And it's, what if Tommaso Ciampa became the necessary evil to Gargano to get him to that level? What if the reason why Ciampa turned on Gargano at first was because of, he didn't want Gargano to replace him. He was worried about being replaced. So he made himself very irreplaceable to Gargano by being, the Joker to his Batman, or let's put it right now, the Thanos to half the fucking universe.
Oh my god.
With that, with the endings of Johnny Gargano being close to winning the title, and then, then Gargano attacking Aleister Black, so he had his one-on-one shot against Tommaso. And then you had the whole Tommaso versus Dream, and then you had Aleister Black versus Gargano. It kind of dwelled into them DIY reuniting for the Dusty Rhodes Classic, and then it going back to Gargano versus Ciampa again, but then unfortunately Ciampa got injured. So how I think it's Tommaso is teaching Johnny that sometimes you do have to step over your morals to get what you want. When it came to attacking Aleister Black to get that one-on-one shot against Ciampa, he kind of. What's funny is he didn't wait for somebody to do this to Gargano. He did it himself. So it kind of was like a necessary evil. If you put it in storyline wise. So I want to see if this is going to happen where, because they did the whole Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa were on main roster. And then now that Ciampa's injured and Gargano's champion, I don't think they're going to be. Gargano's not going to go back, and I don't think Ciampa's going to go back. I think what's going to happen is once Gargano is done with the NXT title, that's when he'll go up to main roster. And I will not be surprised if I see Tommaso Ciampa on the main roster before Gargano or immediately after Gargano.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to Johnny Gargano being on 205 Live too. It's going to be really exciting.
I honestly rather have him hold the NXT title than being on 205, which is nothing against 205 Live. The basic fact of that, let's just go before we get into Mania or get into the Hall of Fame. We'll do a quick recap, then we'll go to Mania, which is 205 Live is not really marketed, because you remember how the Raw used to have the cruiserweights on there, and now they don't even have them anymore. And so it's really weird. They kind of need to market it more. It doesn't kill the show to put the cruiserweight title on the main card once in a while. Just saying. But let's go into the Hall of Fame.
I love how you say it doesn't. I love how you say it doesn't hurt to put the cruiserweight title in the Hall of Fame.
No,
on the main card, not the cruiserweight title. No. I love how you say my bad. I love how you say it's not a bad thing to put the cruiserweight title on the main card. But let's go to the Hall of Fame. We got to hurry up and get out of the topic of the Cruiserweight Championship before it degrades the value of our show. That's what I'm saying. This is my point, though. If we don't even want to talk about the Cruiserweight title because it's going to degrade our own podcast.
Later. We're at 47 minutes right now.
Yeah, we're at 47 minutes, but hold on. You don't want to talk about the Cruiserweight Championship, and neither do I, because it's going to degrade the podcast.
No, it will not.
How do you think Vince McMahon feels about putting that damn title on the main card?
I actually like the Cruiserweights. Okay.
You and all 67 people on the internet. So let's go to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Oh wait, hold on. 68. I forgot. Dave Meltzer. I'm sorry. All right, 68. So Hall of Fame ceremony. You got the Honky Tonk Man. Oh boy. I mean, you know what? I will say Honky Tonk Man had a lot of heat back in his day. Defeating. I mean, come on. It's God knows how many. It's like 32 years later, and when Jimmy Hart mentions that Honky Tonk Man beat Ricky the Dragon Steamboat for the Intercontinental Championship, the crowd still boos. If that's not heat, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what the fuck is.
I felt like, because he was one of the longest reigning Intercontinental champions. Or is he still the longest reigning Intercontinental?
He is the longest reigning Intercontinental champion.
Like, that's reason of itself to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. Really quick, I would like to propose a theory that Jimmy Hart's a goddamn vampire, because it looks like he hasn't aged in at least since 90s WCW. So, okay, so Honky Tonk Man was well-deserved. I liked the wholesomeness of his speech. It was very different to see, the actual person behind the Honky Tonk Man, behind the jumpsuit talk. And then, they did what kind of Double J Jeff Jarrett did last year, and that was, singing the Honky Tonk Man song.
And of course, they pan over to Nia Jax in a beautiful dress, and then after that, Nia Jax, I don't care what anyone says. She looked beautiful that night. Amazing, exquisite dress. Very happy for Charlotte Flair and Andrade coming out as a couple.
I just wanted to talk about the inductions really quick.
I secretly think Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins are dating.
Oh my God, this is not the wrestling rumor mill podcast, Ev.
Rumor and innuendo.
Oh my God!
To take the quote from Conrad Thompson, Jesus, rumor and innuendo. Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch are dating.
Oh my God!
But which I think is complete. I actually
it is what it is. I stay out of their personal lives because I don't like intrude.
Well, the one thing I did notice was Big E and Xavier Woods completely air guitaring to Honky Tonk Man's theme song. They are more into the Honky Tonk Man than the Honky Tonk Man. This is amazing, and it just makes me realize why I love the New Day so much. They are entertainment.
We will be talking much more about the New Day a little later on this one, I can tell you that.
Absolutely. So the next Hall of Fame induction, who went after the Honky Tonk Man? Was it Tori Wilson?
Yeah.
I think it was Tori after her, right?
Which, honestly, that speech was very, very... It was good. It was pretty
honest.
Good.
That's what it was. It was honest.
It was honest. It was truthful. And it had some moments where it was comedic. And she was perfectly, I
give her a lot of credit, too, because 2 days ago or something like that, she lost her father. And it was, she was going through a very hard time up on that stage, up on that podium. And, she even cracked a joke about Dawn Marie, which, oh my God. This guy, kayfabe, died literally a little death. And unfortunately, he really passed on in real life a couple days beforehand.
No,
and she made light out of a lot of it all, and she did the best she could. And my favorite comment of the night wasn't even I was a part of your lives and I was a part of your puberty. As funny as that was, the comment that made me laugh the most was when she said that Michelle McCool was her road wife before the Undertaker came and got his hands on her. That was actually made me laugh. Yeah, anytime you mention an Undertaker behind the scenes joke, you're gonna get a chuckle out of me because, damn, Undertaker backstage is pretty damn hilarious. I've heard many times. I going on a personal note, I met the Undertaker, and it's like he goes, "It's nice to meet you," and I'm like Ralph Cramden. I'm like hamina. I'm like completely frozen.
This is the portion of the podcast where Ev puts himself over.
No, I'm not putting myself over. I'm putting the Undertaker over.
Yeah, you're putting him over while putting yourself saying, "Well, I met the Undertaker." Cool. That's about.
If I was putting myself over, if I was putting myself over, I would say that the Undertaker was meeting me.
Had the honor to meet me at New York Comic-Con one year.
That's what if I put myself over, I would say the Undertaker had the honor to meet Everett Crede, but. No, I was completely frozen, and I pulled a Walt Disney. I was frozen solid. Meanwhile, Angelique Stark goes up to him and says, "Hey, Mark, how you doing?" I'm like, what the fuck? Way to demasculate, I felt so demasculated. It was embarrassing, but nevertheless, great moment. So, unfortunately, what wasn't such a great moment was the next induction. Natalya and Bret Hart. And I'm sure this is the main...
This is what I wanted to talk about. Okay.
Some fucking dumbass decides it is a good idea to get popular by taking Bret Hart, who is a cancer survivor, a stroke survivor, grab him by the waist and wrestle him down to the floor. In the process, Natalya, being collateral damage, falls as well... and thinking this is a good idea. Meanwhile, there is an audience full of wrestlers that are average 6'2", 250 pounds. Travis Brown, Ronda Rousey's husband, comes in. Shane McMahon comes in, and this guy gets the absolute shit beat out of him. And then gets knocked in the face by Dash Wilder. Oh my God.
So this is
Braun
kind of
Strowman makes a beeline in a suit. I know I wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of a Braun Strowman real life beat. We've seen what he does in predetermined matchups. I would not want to be on the receiving end of that. And this dumbass in a fake Rastafarian hat and wig comes in completely disguised, incognito, like that was going to matter, like he wasn't going to get fucking caught. Let me ask you this. I'm not going to even ask you why he did it, because we all know why he did it. He said, quote unquote, it was the right time to do it. But my question is, you know you're going to get caught. You know someone's going to knock that silly outfit off of your head. Why the living fuck would you wear that Rastafarian hat? What is going to make that so special?
This is what I kind of want to not focus on the guy who attacked Bret Hart or Natalia, especially during a Hall of Fame. That's just straight up disrespectful. But the thing I wanted to talk to you about is it's kind of a point that I need to bring up. I kind of refused to watch the Hall of Fame for the past couple of years because of the crowd. I'm kind of starting to get sick and tired of the crowd during the Hall of Fame. It's not against anybody that, paid to go see it or anything. It's those certain fans that want to make the show about the crowd and not the induction and the history of these people that are getting put into the Hall of Fame. This is kind of just like the cherry on top of that cake. It's honestly, it astounds me on how this could happen in the first place. I felt like that's an issue where is it the Barclays Center that they're doing this in again? I felt like security really dropped the ball. I felt like security really dropped the ball on that, but I feel like it is maybe a topic for WWE to make it a closed ceremony and stream it on the WWE network the Saturday night before. But I do not feel that they will be open to the idea of having a crowd like that with the Hall of Fame again for quite a while.
I'm going to say this. I'm going to say they should go back to the stage, because if it was on that stage, that guy wouldn't have reached Bret Hart in time. In my opinion, if the Hall of Fame was done on the stage, there was no way that guy, he may have tried, but they would have got to him way before he even got to Bret. So that just made me really see it for that. It just seemed very easy, and it seemed, It just seemed
I don't know. The guy who attacked Bret Hart, I don't know if his reasons were just because it was, it was the right place at the right time, or there's actually something that is psychologically wrong with him. It is very pisses me off still that happened, but it kind of does. I think it is time for WWE to kind of take a little bit more precautions when it comes to the Hall of Fame.
It was definitely an injustice. That's the best way to describe it. It was an injustice. One of the biggest injustices in the history of the Hall of Fame. It is almost as big of an injustice as having almost as big. I wouldn't say quite as big, but almost as big as having Hillbilly Jim inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Oh my God! Shut up about that. I know, I get it.
It's almost
Hillbilly Jim. Oh, you know what? Hillbilly Jim did do a lot for the rock and roll wrestling era, and we'll leave it at that. So just stop.
Oh my fucking God! You're not actually going to defend this. I'm not going to let you defend.
And I'm not going to let you continue talking about this. So let's go to the next induction.
All right. Well, the next induction, let's see, was Brutus the fucking Barber Beefcake. Oh my God. Not much else to say here other than him throwing a little shout out to Baron Corbin, saying that I didn't like the name Baron, it wouldn't fit for a wrestler, and then says no offense to Baron Corbin. That was pretty funny. Not much more to say here. Then they go into the Warrior Award. Not much else to say there.
Yeah,
Surprised by
which
John
was very
Cena.
well deserved because
Let's go to Harlem Heat.
yeah.
This was actually one of my favorite speeches. I thought it was really cool that Booker let Stevie Ray get his moment. Booker kind of said, you know what, I got my induction, I did my speech. This is more about Stevie Ray, I'll pop in every now and then. I thought it was well done. I thought it was very classy, very respectful. And I will say this, though. This is what this speech really surprised me with. Stevie Ray giving credit to Hulk Hogan and Arn Anderson. My bad. Arn Anderson as well, but Ole Anderson. So, real quick to recap here. Hulk Hogan and... Hogan, yeah, because of that incident that happened a few years ago, but more so Ole Anderson. That, to me, was the biggest surprise because... when the name Ole Anderson kind of comes out of somebody's mouth, more than likely it's not going to be too positive. A lot of people have said that Ole Anderson is racist and was, kind of for a lack of better words, an asshole. And a lot of people didn't get along with Ole Anderson. So it's not too common when someone actually mentions anything positive about Ole Anderson. I think the only people I've ever heard say anything good about him was Ricky Steamboat and Harlem Heat. And it was very surprising to hear that. So it definitely gave me a different light and a different perspective on Ole Anderson as a promoter and as a booker. Chat me up. What do you think? What do you think about this? Giving credit to Hogan, giving credit to Ole Anderson, Arn Anderson, and overall just Harlem Heat as a tag team.
Well, I feel this was a speech as well that was very honest and real. They talked, because Booker T, he was inducted for his singles, which was mainly the later half of his career, but his early on career was with Stevie Ray and the Harlem Heat, or the Ebony Experience when they first started. And so I felt, simply that Stevie Ray was giving credit to where it was due. He wasn't caring that, with the situations that happened between, the public and Hogan, the public and Ole Anderson or whatnot, or, some of the stories he says, well, they helped me out. And I felt like, that was perfectly fine. It doesn't change, it doesn't change on what, certain people think or what I think, or it doesn't matter. The fact is, it was a Hall of Fame speech he was thanking who he saw helped him get to the level where he could be in the Hall of Fame. Plain and simple.
Yep. Next, we would go to the main induction of the night, D-Generation X. DX, I've heard a mixed reaction of, some people thought it was very entertaining, very comedic, and then some people actually, I've gotten feedback that it was almost an embarrassment to the Hall of Fame, and that it should be about, your career, having prestige, and they kind of tainted that. I'm going to go on the first half of that. I'm going to go with the prior here, because I really thought that this was my favorite Hall of Fame induction ever. And, this to me even surpassed Ric Flair's. It was just and it was DX being DX. They broke the rules. You're not allowed. This is a real thing, guys. You're not allowed to say or thank Vince McMahon in the Hall of Fame. That is a legitimate thing. He does not want to be a part of it. He doesn't believe that it should be about him. This is about you and your career, and thank anyone else that got you here, but don't thank me. Vince McMahon is very humble. I know that's a hard thing for a lot of people to believe, but he's very humble and doesn't want to make it about him. So, of course, DX, knowing this, has to rib him. And I think my favorite part of this was Road Dogg slapping on about 10 pounds of sheets saying, just want to write down a couple of my thoughts here. Me and my good friend Hillbilly Jim. God, that was hilarious. Because obviously making fun of Hillbilly for going on way too long last year in his speech. And then, of course, they they put on their glasses, and Triple H has the cross-eyed Google eyes and says, I think I got yours, Shawn," making fun of Shawn Michaels, cross-eyed. And then Shawn gets the one with the big nose saying, "Oh, we got each other's." I kid you not. This was classic comedy, DX roasting each other.
I felt like I didn't, this is when the moment that D-Generation X was announced to go into the Hall of Fame, I knew that it was going to be very rooted in what they were about, which was them having fun, them doing what they felt could get them laughs and would make them laugh, which there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I liked the speech, to be honest. And then, you had the comedic times, which, were a good part of the show, part of the speech. But then you have the serious times where they acknowledge, there's another person there, but they're not in the ring, and that's China. And that, they wouldn't be. China gave them the dynamic that was never seen before, and they credit her as kind of one of the reasons they became a success was because of her involvement. Her being massively different for that time period, her being a female bodyguard, which is not very, at that time was downright, unheard of.
Controversial. It was unheard of. It was
so
it was very controversial.
It was very nice to see that she got the recognition and everything, that they didn't just kind of side it off. Shawn Michaels was the one who delivered the news. You could see X-Pac. You saw that. He kind of wants to make sure that her legacy lives on in a way because of this. And so, which is good. I'm very glad that, even with it was on the WWE Triple H's Road to WrestleMania, where each member of DX got special cufflinks, and he mentioned that rather than giving China a pair of cufflinks, what he did is he turned the cufflinks into a pendant on a necklace and gave it one to her sister and one to her mother, I believe. So it's very, that it's good that that unfortunately it took her passing away to get to that, but it is what it is. I enjoyed the speech. Billy Gunn getting absolutely roasted a couple of times, especially with his involvement in a company where that was very out there during the speech as well, with a couple of lines from Triple H, and the crowd just kind of fed into him. That's entirely on the crowd. But if anything, it kind of gives that other company some spotlight by doing that. So sometimes the best reaction is to have no reaction. But Triple H doing that and everything. But it was all in a joking manner in speech, and it was
Triple H it's I remember when Shawn was like, "This is my part where I go to thank people," and he's like, "My family's not here. They're embarrassed of us. They're embarrassed of what we did." And the Road Dogg, Pac, and Gunn had to hold them back. And they're like, "They're embarrassed of us." And Triple H completely says, "Yeah, they're embarrassed of you, Shawn. You were wearing hats, assless chaps. Even Bret Hart knew better than that." Yeah. Completely buried him. That was great. Freaking hysterical. Very reminiscent of how I'm going to bury you in this show.
Joke's on you. I've already buried you. You just don't know it yet. You can look through the sound
you don't know. I don't know it yet. All right. Yeah. Coming from the guy with the outdated hair metal gimmick. All right. So
coming from the guy with the outdated egomaniacal gimmick. Yeah.
Fair enough. All right. So
so when are you growing your hair up, Jericho? There you go.
Don't worry. Wait till you see my guy liner. All right, so moving on. Now the Triple H goes into his speech and he thanks Killer Kowalski, and then when he thanks China and he goes to his sister and he says, "She's here tonight," and then he says, "The real her." You can see he starts to crack, and that's when you know, like, you know what, he loves her to death. He respects her, and there will always be a place for not only China but Joni and Paul's heart, and that's completely natural. It's completely normal, and it's amazing. And then he thanks his daughters, and then he says, "I like to thank Papa Goddard," because I can't say Vince McMahon, which made me laugh. And then this part really made me tear up was when he goes, "Stephanie," and he just looks at her and he just says, "Forever." That to me is that's a love right there. That that's all you need to say. Forever. That's
like it had its feel good moments.
It was amazing. And then of course you mentioned you could always leave it. You always rely on old Billy Gunn to overpromise and underdeliver.
Yeah.
Thank you, but thank you anyway for being all in, which completely a reference to the AEW thing, and then Triple H saying, Vince could buy that pissant company just to fire you again. It's just classic humor and completely ribbing each other.
So I think that was it for the Hall of Fame. So I think at an hour and 11 minutes in, we can finally talk about
WrestleMania. Before we begin, what was your favorite D-Generation X moment?
I'll always have three. So, the State of the Union address.
That might be mine.
That one. There was the DX invading WCW, the wrestling company.
Okay.
And then 06, them tearing the axle off of Vince McMahon's limo. And then
that
doing
whole
this
night with the production
while holding his head, going, "Ah! Ah!"
That damn DX.
Oh yeah, them spray painting them covering the Titan Towers with the DX logo too was great. So that's my 4 there. So what's yours?
I've had so many. The wipers with Slaughter's face.
Oh, shit, we're gonna get into 10 minutes about how DX.
No, I'm not gonna drag.
Okay.
I'm not gonna drag. The 06 DX reunion was amazing. Like when they actually beat up the Squad and reunited. But if I have to put my favorite moment, it would have to be DX impersonating the Nation of Domination.
Yeah.
That to me was amazing. The whole Croc came from the bathroom. You should have smelled what the Rock was cooking. The people's elbow going into, completely does the fake out and then goes back into the promo. So entertaining. And then my favorite part was Jason Sensation as Owen Hart. I am not a nugget.
I am a black heart, damn it! A winner, a soul survivor! Woo!
Oh my God! You sound more like Owen than Owen.
There was another line where it was like, I like to wake up
like a damn road sign.
I like to wake up to the smell of coffee all the way from Brazil. Woo! I
have a question for you, Ms. Ark Henry. How did you get your abs to go all the way around to your back like that? No, how did you get your pecs to get all the way around to your back like that? I remember this was a constant joke in Backyard Wrestling because every time that Cam and I would end up seeing Big Time Mike, we would always ask him, "Mike, we got a question. How did you get your pecs to go all the way around to your back like that?" And Mike would just start losing his mind laughing. Freaking amazing. I definitely got to hit him up again. Good old Big Time Mike.
I think it's time to talk about me.
I think Adam Cole took it from Big Time Mike because the original was Big Time Bay Bay. That's the original.
I'm gonna take the captain's wheel from the WrestleMania 36 stage because it'll be a giant pirate ship and try to redirect us to WrestleMania 35 on this one. So,
boom.
What's funny is I don't think many people know. your secret about this show. So a lot of people don't know, but Everett was actually at the show with his dad, the immortal Jim, REF, God, not God, that was Cameron, but God. And so how are we going to condense almost nearly 8 hours of entertainment from one show in less than about 40 minutes? Let's go this way. Let's go this way. Kickoff show. Tony Nese beats Buddy Murphy. Good match. That's it. Then the tag titles. Revival loses to Hawkins and Ryder. Congratulations, a new streak is born. 269. Or 268 or whatever.
Those ones I wanted to kind of skim over, but I do want to talk about the Battle Royals. First, the women's one. Looks like, I'll tell you what, before we get into the winner, Riot Squad, I really was impressed with the Riot Squad. I loved Ruby Riot's gear. I thought she looked freaking incredible. But what I did not expect was Sarah Logan looking really strong, and Asuka getting eliminated. She was the fourth one or the third one out. I was very surprised by that. And Sarah Logan, it looked like Sarah Logan won the Battle Royal until we found out that Carmella did exactly what fucking Naomi did last year. Really original. But nevertheless, Carmella ends up sneaking up on Sarah Logan and winning the WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal, which had 17 women in it. And she won it in 10 minutes and 30 seconds. What do you think about Carmella winning it up, and what do you think about the digging up treatment of Asuka?
So I wanted Asuka to win originally, but at the same time, you could tell this match was a throwaway, which is kind of a shame because you did have a number of good women in this match. I find it quite fitting that the first person that was eliminated from last year's, the first ever Women's Battle Royal in WrestleMania that was won by a woman, that Carmella was the first one eliminated, and now she was the one who won it this year. I'm not very against the idea, and I'm not very for it. I'm very indifferent on it. It is what it is. It was good that was on the card. Unfortunately, with the whole the main event with Ronda backing a Charlotte, and then they wanted to go even further with the winner take all, which do you think that they should have? Not really, but at the same time, SmackDown Live's women's picture was very lackluster due to Charlotte's involvement in the storyline, becoming a triple threat, and honestly, it's kind of weird to see how the women on Raw are treated way differently than the ones on SmackDown at the moment. So, it is what it is.
Before you say that, because, let's be honest, other than Charlotte, Becky, and Asuka, are there really any real main event level players on the SmackDown Women's division?
And that is the biggest issue that is with SmackDown right now. With Charlotte and Asuka were their two big main event, caliber women. And with Charlotte being put into the main event and Asuka, they kind of don't really, it seems like they're not
she got lost in the shuffle.
They're not sure what to do because they kind of did kill all her momentum immediately after WrestleMania 34 when she lost to Charlotte. So, it is what it is. Hopefully,
it seems like Charlotte was the golden shovel for.
Hopefully, the next time that we see something or we talk about it on Gen Y or We Here, that it will be a different story. Right now, like I said, the Battle Royal was, I'm very indifferent on it. I wasn't really, against it or for it. It was there. It was on the card. I'm glad it was on the card. But let's get to the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal because I do have a couple things.
All right, so the match starts. Michael Che and Colin Jost already make a beeline to go under the ring, pulling a page out of Jerry Lawler's book. I made a promise to everybody. I don't know if a lot of people know this, but I made a promise to everybody that if Otis won this Battle Royal, I was walking home from MetLife Stadium that night. Due to the fact that it wasn't the warmest outside, it was about 50 degrees and it was starting to drop, I am very happy that Otis was eliminated. And not because I didn't want to walk home, but I think everybody knows that I fucking hate this tag team. This tag team is some real goofy shit, and it's not even entertaining. It's not even entertaining. It's just stupid.
This is where this is where we're gonna have people going, why do you hate heavy machinery? I like heavy machinery. The issue is
you had the perfect setup, Whistler, to say I like heavy machinery because they make me feel good about myself.
Here's the thing.
And you didn't take it.
No.
I'm going to take a page out of Jordan's book. I'm very disappointed in you.
Yeah, well, I'm very disappointed in you not liking heavy machinery at this time. But I feel like that's a story for different time. I like them because it's just like, cool, makes me laugh, a quick laugh out of the way, cool. Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, the moment that it's like Braun Strowman was announced, I was like, oh shit, he's going to win it. And he did. Spoiler.
10 minutes and 20 seconds. It was down to him and the Hardys, and the Hardys were trying to do the old,
which good for the Hardys,
Royal Rumble 04 elimination, like Benoit trying to eliminate the Big Show, and but it's 2-on-1. And yes, by the way, I'm not endorsed by WWE, so I'm going to mention.
Let me reroute this back because I just noticed something. Luke Harper's back, and they put him in the Battle Royal.
There wasn't even any warning.
No, because I'm looking at Twitter right now, and I literally see the GIF of when Harper gets booted off while he has Ali in the suplex position, and Ali almost dies.
I will say this.
I was like, oh, that's Luke Harper. Man, I miss Luke Harper.
I will say this, because in the Battle Royal, Braun and Harper end up having a stare down, and it gets a huge pop from the crowd. To me, that means that people want to see the Wyatt family back together. I mean, come on, guys. Like, this is a little ridiculous now. I mean, Rowan right now has some direction because, he's with Daniel Bryan. But Braun and Harper really don't have anything else going on. You got Bray Wyatt Bird in a box, which, I mean, I know I'm making fun of it, but it actually is pretty creepy, and I'm looking forward to seeing what's
my God.
Next. But
really quick, I'm going to get to that. I realized how much that buzzard looks like a turkey, and it reminds me of a really bad horror film I watched called Thanksgiving. Don't watch it,
sounds
please.
Like a real bootleg movie.
Don't watch it. It is terrible. It is so bad it makes you laugh.
Was it like straight to DVD?
Probably was. It was straight to the horrible archives of Netflix, so it tells you something.
It was a straight to DVD gimmick, just like Heavy Machinery.
No, it was straight to DVD, like Naked Midian.
Oh my God, let's not. All right, so Braun Strowman is getting tipped over by the Hardys. Colin Jost and Michael Che reach back in and try to grab Strowman's legs, and Strowman does the old Andre the Giant. How funny enough. Andre the Giant push everybody off. The Hardys go over the top to the floor, and Braun Strowman is left with Che and Jost. And Colin Jost brings in a therapist and says, why does everything have to end in violence? It was actually pretty funny.
Yeah.
The poor therapist gets knocked down. Michael Che gets knocked out, and then Colin Jost actually ducks out of the way of Strowman's attack, and Colin Jost almost eliminates Braun before getting pushed off and then getting caught into a running power slam. Threw him over the top rope and caught by everybody on the floor. Strowman wins the match. Definitely looking like some momentum going on for Braun before we hit the signature of WrestleMania. Any other thoughts?
No. I do feel it quite funny that on Saturday Night Live they did not want to plug this match, even though their weekend update guys were in it. So shows how much faith they had in this match and this exposure. So
WrestleMania, yeah. So WrestleMania starts. They do the Star Spangled Banner. Now I'm going to be honest. These helicopters were over MetLife Stadium for about a couple minutes now, and I'm looking at it, and for some reason I had this weird feeling, and I whispered to my dad, God, I hope they're one of ours. Because this would be a really bad time if this was actually the enemy lines, and they decided to give us a little bit of a pre-WrestleMania surprise. Because when militant helicopters are hovering over you for that amount of time, you start getting a little superstitious. I almost said rest in peace, Stevie Wonder. Oh my God.
What the fuck? He's not even dead. Oh my God.
That's how you know.
Okay, no, we're turning it around. We're going to go to the opener of WrestleMania because we're going to have to skip that part.
Everett, before we even get to that, Alexa Bliss comes out and says...
Yep. So Alexa comes out and she goes that she essentially holds WrestleMania in the palm of her hand. I can't even say it. I have to say Bliss because my Amazon Echo just went off when I said her name. So when Bliss comes out, she says that she can make a WrestleMania moment of, happen to snap her fingers. She snaps her fingers, and out comes Hulk Hogan. And this is where I start to questioning where the lines of him actually knowing what he's talking about and what he's not knowing. Because he does...
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? How can you defy Hulk Hogan?
This is what I'm talking about. So,
Justin, we are here at... This is WrestleMania. We are at the 35th WrestleMania at the MetLife Center. How could you possibly question Hulk Hogan's knowledge of this spectacular event?
Because the motherfucker legit says the Superdome. Or he says
he said the Superdome as a rib, and then he corrected himself and said, wait, this isn't the Superdome. My bad, I forgot we're at the MetLife Stadium.
But MetLife Center. And then that's like, oh my God, he's actually stupid. And it's like,
he intentionally said we're here at the Silverdome, and he did that as a rib, and then he corrected himself and he said, just kidding, guys. We all know this is an epic moment here at the MetLife Center, and he was right.
Yeah, it's the MetLife Center. Did you get your ticket from the MetLife Center, Ev? I think you did. So,
oh my God!
Let's go to the
I got them from Premium Seats USA.
We'll go into the
I'm not going to lie,
folks.
I wouldn't recommend it.
So as that segment ends, somebody marches down to the ring, and that's Paul Heyman.
I will say anything can happen at WrestleMania, even like Paul Heyman making an entrance to Hulk Hogan's theme music. And, seeing Paul Heyman walk to the ring to Real American on beat. If you notice, his steps are on beat to the song. Minister Sherwood,
which I feel like, he was a Real American. when he ran ECW, he was running it out of a pawn shop. And so I feel like the American
more like a bingo hall.
Happened, and he was American made. So, continuing on. So, Heyman goes to the ring, picks up the mic, and essentially says that Lesnar is ready right now, Rollins. Are you going to be a coward, or are you going to back up what you were saying the past couple weeks?
Well, not really so much Rollins is this what you. He pretty much says if Brock Lesnar is not going to go on last, with pretty much saying that he deserves to go on last, he should be going on last, but if not, fine, we're going to get this. It's not that we're here to kick it off. It's here so we can get this over with so that we can go to Las Vegas and go to UFC where Brock Lesnar is actually appreciated. So it's not let's kick off WrestleMania with a bang in Paul Heyman's mindset. It's let's get this over with. But obviously to the fans and to all of us, this is going to kick off WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So Brock gets a big boom, big pyro entrance. Seth Rollins gets the little graphic of the Brock Lesnar face, like the beast skull tattoo, whatever the fuck, getting completely shattered by the sword. And Rollins is the Beast Slayer, and then the burn it down and the fire and all that. The crowd completely goes nuts. Screens burn it down. Here comes Seth, and Brock Lesnar doesn't even let Seth get in the ring. Brock knees him in the ribs and gets out of the ring, completely busts ass going after Seth because he is just so in the zone. He slips up but then gets back on pace, delivers an F5 on the floor, and throws Seth Rollins all around the barricade, all around the apron, tosses him through the hood of the announcer's desk, and then finally gets him in the ring, tells the referee to ring the fucking bell, and then finally the match starts, and 2 minutes and 30 seconds later, after a little trip to Suplex City, Brock gets set up for the F5. Rollins pushes the Brock into the referee, delivers a low blow, and then 3 curb stomps later, Seth Rollins becomes the Universal Champion. I mean,
yeah, it's pretty straightforward. I'm glad that Rollins won the title. I don't know how long it is until we see Brock, if we see Brock again. It's looking very different for Raw now that they are having a champion that's there every week. I felt it is very culminating of Rollins as well as this whole Brock versus the Shield at Mania kind of thing, if you notice, because Brock at 31 fought Roman, got cashed in on, and Seth pinned Roman, not Brock, so he never actually had a pinfall over Brock Lesnar. Then Brock beat Ambrose at WrestleMania 32, and then Brock beat Reigns at WrestleMania 34, and then now Rollins beat Brock clean, in a way, for the Universal title at the WrestleMania at the stadium that the Shield debuted in, which was WrestleMania 29. So very fitting. Then so we have that, and then what's our next match? Our next match was...
Well, before that, I'm going to give my opinion. If you don't mind, I'm going to give my take on the match.
I would, but I actually got to go eat.
You got what?
I got to go eat.
You got to go eat?
I got to go eat.
Oh, okay. So, in that case, all right. So, pretty much, we'll pretty much speed up WrestleMania a little bit.
Yeah,
which is
we do,
because we should have done.
Because remember, we tried to get, we did agree that we were trying to keep this an hour and a half. We are currently 3 minutes over that.
We might get on it too, if we'll try to wrap it up. Pretty much, my opinion is I didn't want Seth to win, but if Seth was going to win, they did it exactly the way they should. Not much more to say there. AJ Styles would then go on to defeat Randy Orton in 16 minutes and 20 seconds.
Very good match. Very good match.
Orton would go
poor unfortunate crowd could not see, well, one section could not see the match. Shout out to Randy Orton's sperm snake being replaced by a turd snake this year. AJ with the gold and white was fitting. Randy Orton's gear was very good.
Randy Orton is actually a member of our Gen Y faction now.
Yeah,
so
Gen Y isn't he here?
Yeah, the Viper is now the part of the Gen Y virus. amazing, Orton and Styles. I thought it was a little too slow paced, but nevertheless, I thought it was really good.
I thought it was
I
good.
like the RKO out of the roll up.
It still leaves another match to be desired, which I hope we do see, but it depends on how the shakeup goes.
The way they set up the forearm at the end was great.
Mm-hmm.
Usos would then go on to defeat Aleister Black and Ricochet, and Aleister Black had an awesome entrance.
Yeah, but you're forgetting two other tag teams, which were Rusev and Nakamura and The Bar, which
they didn't get so much of a good entrance.
There was a spot where everybody hit freaking kicks during it, and it was pretty good. Aleister hitting Rusev with Black Mask and Back Mask, and then getting super kicked. It was quite fun. Or no, he got Kinshasa, and then a double super kick at the end from the Usos, and then the Usos did the two-post massacre splash to get the 3 on Sheamus?
Not before Ricochet hit the code breaker, and then that would follow up with Daniel Bryan hitting the everybody doing Jericho's moves later that night. Everybody doing the Lion Tamer, the Walls of Jericho, and the Bulldog.
Velveteen Dream also doing the code breaker, which they even said it was the code breaker on commentary.
Unbelievable. Everybody taking that code breaker.
Match, the Fatal 4-Way Tag match was definitely the better Fatal 4-Way Tag match out of the two that they had on the show. Our next one is
Shane McMahon defeating The Miz in 1530.
That was a good match. That was a good match that I was looking forward to that match. I did like the chicken shit heel McMahon running around the outside of the ring for the first couple minutes.
How much did you love Shane McMahon and keeps getting the announcer to call him the best in the world? And then afterwards, the music would hit and he'd do the shuffle.
3 times. He does it once. The first time was, when he was on the stage, and then when he's down the ramp, and then when he's in the ring, and then you see him do these hand signals while Greg Hamilton's doing the announcing on it. And it's freaking great. Not the MVP of that match. The MVP of that match had to be Miz's dad. Going into the ring to stop Shane doing the leap of faith onto Miz through the announce table. And Shane had to teach him how to put the Dukes up, and then he kneed him in the gut, then punched him a couple of times. And then Miz freaking the hell out about his dad being beat up, and it was perfect because then that led him to being the outside, and that's where McMahon just got pummeled by the Miz. One part he got put through a table, just being lifted and slammed through by the Miz. And
Miz took out the whole international committee of the announcers.
He got thrown over a golf cart. He slid off the golf cart onto the concrete, and then the big spot, which is the spot that ended it, which was the superplex off of the camera platform, similar to when Taker and Triple H did it at WrestleMania 17, but this time
it's funny you said that because that's what it was reminding me of at the moment I saw it, and I told my dad it reminds me of Triple H Taker.
And they went through everything, and Miz's shoulders were down because he was the one that delivered the suplex. And when he did the suplex, when he hooked Shane's shoulders ended up over Miz, and they were left up, and so Shane won the match. I felt it was pretty great on how Miz's anger led to him losing the match.
I remember him taking out the international commentary, and I remember saying, WrestleMania just lost feed in France, China, and Japan.
I believe they went through the Mandarin announce table.
The Mandarians were taken out. Don't worry, Portugal's still there. And then Shane got busted through the table, and I said, never mind. In the crowd, I actually yelled, and I screamed, "Watch out, Funaki!" And the whole crowd just started hysterical laughing.
Yeah.
The skull-crushing finale on the platform, and then the superplex, which was unbelievable. I didn't notice. I got the bird's eye view. I didn't notice how high it was until I got home and saw it.
Yeah,
the crowd went absolutely ballistic.
It was about 17 feet.
This is the car crash, the hockey fight. This of the night. If this is NASCAR, that was the car crash.
This was your spot match. This was your hardcore spot match, which is very weird to see Miz be in that match.
The Miz in that, which is absolutely incredible. I give Miz a lot of credit. And that was at 15:30. So then the Iconics would defeat the Boston Hug Connection, Nia and Tamina, and the Divas of Doom, Beth and Natalia, at 10 minutes 45 seconds for the
so
Women's
that
Tag
match,
Team Championship.
I'm gonna be quite honest. I didn't get to watch a whole lot of that match.
Not much to say other than it was an amazing moment for the Iconics.
Watch it, and I felt it was very. It's very funny to see one of the most heel ways to win a match get a pop from the crowd like that when the Iconics.
I think the crowd might be getting a little bit tired of Sasha and Bayley, honestly. It was a predictable moment. Beth hits the glam slam off the top rope, that was great. Amazing.
I kind of want to see Beth wrestle. I kind of want to see Beth be back full time, but I'm not entirely. If she does, that's good on her. If she doesn't, then it doesn't really hurt anybody. But she did bring up she played a good, intricate part in that match, and I felt like she was a glue in that match, which was perfect. The Iconics entrance, which I'm very happy that they did, because they were the team they were the ones that were marketed as a tag team. Like, they were the ones when they came in as a tag team when there was no women tag team.
Yeah, going back into the entrances, Bayley's entrance definitely. I think those wacky waving and inflatable flailing Bayley buddies might have needed a little blue chew. For those that don't know what that is, it
was cold. It was cold outside, so you can't blame them.
I think they were being. I think they were.
And there's. I think
those Bayley
ladies
buddies
and gentlemen,
were being,
we hit the DXP now joke humor there.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I think they were being manufactured and controlled by Billy Gunn. So
over-promising and under-delivering.
Leave it to Billy Gunn, right? Over-promise and under-deliver. Beth Phoenix did not under-deliver, though. The glam slam off the top rope.
She was the MVP of that match. She was the Montavious Porter of that match.
Oh, my God. So the glam slam off the top, incredible. Peyton Royce and Billie Kay actually legitimately crying at the end of that match, because the long journey got to here. They won the tag titles at WrestleMania. What seemed like it would never happen, women's tag titles to begin with, and they won them at WrestleMania. Great moment. And somehow you don't think it can get much bigger of a moment, but then Kofi Kingston will go on to defeat Daniel Bryan.
And that was an amazing match. That match was really great. The involvement of Rowan, the involvement of the New Day kind of being conflicted because of Rowan's heel antics, and Bryan, they want to go in to protect Kofi, but at the same time they know if they do, they ruin his shot that they worked so hard to, they all worked hard to get to. So with them taking out Rowan with the Midnight Hour, and then it almost looking like Kofi was going to tap out to the LaBelle lock or get pinned from the solid knee plus, as I call it. And then Kofi having the comeback, kind of giving Daniel Bryan comeuppance, which is so weird to freaking say still. Him even pulling up Bryan's arms and then kicking him in the head and then giving him a trouble in paradise was a complete reversal of that momentum, which I'm very glad that, Kofi's finally got his moment 11 years after. It's so weird to say it because you wouldn't have said it a couple months ago when the Rumble was happening. You wouldn't say it last year. You wouldn't have said it 2 or 3 years ago. It's unbelievable what a short amount of time that somebody can accomplish, what they wanted. And so it's it's a great combination. I think the thing that broke me in that moment was seeing the reaction from Xavier Woods, because he kind of bet his career on the formation of the New Day. And he said that the goal for the New Day was to get Kofi that shot, to give Kofi that opportunity for the world title, and it actually happened. And so it was a very good, heartwarming moment, which kind of flips it around to when it comes back to the next match.
Well, Kofi would win in 23:45. It reminded me, when those three were crying, it reminded me of the FTC at Best in the Yard 3. Kofi's victory to me, and I cried my eyes out at MetLife because it just made me think of all the things that are going on in my life, and it just makes me think there's no such thing as impossible. And if you fight, kind of funny because Daniel Bryan said it: if you fight for your dreams, they will come
I
true.
have that shirt. I have that shirt. I'm wearing my Crede shirt.
I cried
now,
because
it
made me think anything is possible, and you know what? That gives me the fight to get up every day and do what I got to do, and it just made me think, you know what? Good things do happen, and
it takes
gave me hope.
time and it takes effort. That's the secret.
I was very happy for Kofi. Amazing moment. Next match was literally 60 seconds long, only a minute. Samoa Joe would defeat Rey Mysterio with the Coquina clutch.
This is insane to think about because I find it quite ironic that that Rey Mysterio at WrestleMania 25 beat JBL in under a minute. Quite hilarious. 10 years later, he gets his comeuppance and gets tapped out to the Coquina clutch. My question is, who is Joe going to lose to in a minute at WrestleMania 45? So that's all I got to say.
Anyway,
if Samoa Joe in his first WrestleMania over as hell, unfortunately at the cost of Rey Mysterio, and I believe Rey is injured. So that could have played.
Who is Samoa Joe going to lose to at WrestleMania 45? Maybe Cameron Jackson. Who knows? But nevertheless, and it's funny because Joe came out and the crowd was going, Joe, Joe, Joe. And my dad goes over to me and says, this should be a squash match. And I said, don't be surprised if it is. And literally a minute later,
Samoa Joe just wins. The wrong person you thought would get squashed won.
No. We knew Samoa was going to squash Rey. Mm-hmm. Both of us did. So next up, this seems to be the match that the crowd had the least amount of emotional investment towards. Being me in the crowd, I kind of noticed it. Roman Reigns would go on to, big pyro entrance. Drew McIntyre got the whole, the NYPD with the bagpipes and the drums.
It's so weird to see how people became emotionally demotivated in this match so quickly.
I think it's because you're getting to that 10:30, 11 o'clock hour now.
And that's where people start getting burnt out. And then you have literally, if you look into the feed, you can see that the boos and the cheers are not correlating with whatever action's happening in the ring. This is a thing where kind of the crowd just kind of went into business from themselves. They did the Goldberg.
Well, I could tell you because
refused to follow the script. The crowd just.
I could tell you exactly why the crowd wasn't in sync, Justin, and you want to know why? Because I was there.
Yep.
So what a lot of people didn't know was that in the nosebleeds, in the lower right section of MetLife Stadium, the fans in the upper deck started a wave.
Yeah.
And the wave was going from the lower right all the way to the back, and that was the cheer. And then once it got to the upper left portion of the stadium, the wave stopped, and the opposite side of the crowd didn't reciprocate to the wave. And everybody booed that section of the stadium because they didn't continue on with the wave. So as they messed it up the first time, the lower right section of the nosebleeds would try the wave again. And this process would happen probably maybe 3 to 5 times before they ultimately gave up. And by the time they gave up, Roman Reigns was hitting the Superman punch and the spear and would win the match in 10 minutes and 10 seconds.
Yeah. So
ultimate opportunity for Drew McIntyre, and it just fell flat.
Yeah, it just gets squandered. So the question is, where does McIntyre go next, and where does Roman go next? I
guess you could say it wasn't a wave of momentum for the crowd, and it wasn't a wave of momentum for Drew McIntyre.
And it's so weird to see that that it happened in that match when I thought honestly it would be the Joe versus Rey match. But I felt like because it was so short, they knew it was going to happen.
Yeah, so, we couldn't get the wave going on in 60 seconds.
To the match that I wanted to talk about.
We go into Triple H and Batista.
This
Triple
is the
H,
match I'm going to talk about.
Batista comes out in an Escalade.
Cadillac Escalade with police or bodyguards, with a bunch of bodyguards. The whole Hollywood theme. And what does he do?
How fitting for Batista. He misses his pyro. Once again, for his final entrance, he is off key with his pyro. And if that's not enough, as he gets into the ring, he trips.
It does not help that you didn't hear it when you were there, but Shawn Michaels yelling "Oh my God" over commentary after he tripped just sealed the deal. I love Batista, but man, that just was pretty unfortunate. And then you had the battle of the vehicle entrances with Triple H coming out in a Mad Max inspired entrance. Was it his best entrance? No, he's been doing the vehicle entrances for 3 years now. So, with the match itself, this was more brutal than I thought it would be. Let's see. Triple H getting the toolbox. He has the monkey wrench or whatever kind of wrench. I'm not the tool expert here. And stomps on Batista's fingers while they're clamped in there. And then you had him with the needle nose pliers, putting its name to use as he's sitting across the throat of Batista with a chair, similar to what he did with Taker when he during their WrestleMania 17 build, where he said that you're the person that makes people famous. Well, I'm already famous for crippling people. And so
I think Triple H is looking into the Frank. I think Triple H
of Batista.
What were you saying?
He's sitting on the throat of Batista. And he's putting the needle nose pliers to work, and you hear him say something. It's like, oh my God, is he going to take his fingers or what is he going to do? He goes, that's a nice nose ring. Like Smeagol / Gollum seeing the one ring in Mordor. He goes and reaches for that precious nose ring with the needle nose pliers and rips it out.
I think Triple H looked into Frank Cali's death and started studying up on the five families and really noticed the mob mentality, because he was really going old school mafia on Batista. Ripping apart at the fingers, using the pliers on the nose ring. Completely brutal. Kind of, maybe he's trying to one up Randy Orton for what he did to Jeff Hardy. Who knows? But Evolution really knows how to play with tools. Very creative. Poor announcer, poor Triple H and Batista couldn't break the announcer table to save their lives. But the crowd really dies out. This matchup was a lot better on the WWE Network than it was at MetLife Stadium because the crowd was completely fried. The longest match on the card, 24 minutes and 45 seconds. I don't know why, but Triple H has had the longest match at WrestleMania for the past couple of years now.
Yeah,
he had the longest match with Seth Rollins.
Yeah,
he had the longest match with The Undertaker.
So, he did have the longest match with Angle and Rousey and Stephanie, huh?
I'm not sure. Did he have the longest match with them? I think he did.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh my God, Triple H! With the tenure.
We're at the main event, huh?
Not yet. Then we go to Baron Corbin defeating.
Oh yeah, Corbin defeating.
Well,
Angle.
hold on. Let's go on to the end because we didn't cover the end. So in the end at 24:45, Ric Flair gives Batista. My bad. Ric Flair gives Triple H a sledgehammer and then talks trash with Batista.
I think
Triple H does a Superman. Triple H literally does a Superman sledgehammer shot and then delivers the pedigree.
Yeah.
Very, very good ending. I would have had Triple H do the thumbs up, thumbs down, go full circle with it. I think it would have been really good.
Yeah, but
coming up next, we have Kurt Angle's farewell match against Baron Corbin. I think this match was actually very good.
I agree. It was good, but it is so weird to see. It's Kurt Angle's last ever match. And he loses. Thanks for the 20 years, Kurt Angle. Thanks for the 20 years. And it's like,
I think it's best for. I mean, you think about it, all the veterans. I think really it is the best way to go out is on a loss.
yeah.
You look at Shawn
And
Michaels.
I felt like if Triple H lost his match against Batista, it would pretty much overshadow Angle's. So I'm glad that Triple H won, and then with Angle losing, I was like, I did not like it. It puts over Baron Corbin like $1 million that he's already using, so it's good. And then it was still heartfelt at the end. Kurt Angle going for a moonsault was pretty spectacular, and like typical Angle fashion, never hits it.
Yeah, you think he would learn.
You think 20 years of doing moonsaults. TNA didn't help him either. So
Corbin would hit the deep six earlier on in the match, beautifully on Angle. I didn't think he was going to be able to pull it off, but he nailed the deep six. Angle misses the moonsault. They hit every one of their signature moves. The deep six, the German suplexes, the ankle locks, the ankle slams. The moonsault missed, and then Corbin took advantage and won the match at 6 minutes and 5 seconds with the end of days. And then Kurt Angle goes out the way he should. You suck, champ.
It was a good end of days. And the most unfortunate thing about this match is Kurt Angle's last shirt. It says, "No,
you suck.
You suck.
Thank you.
Thank you."
Unbelievable. Ouch. You were the one that pointed that out to me, and I'm like, oh my God.
Thank you. It's like, oh my God.
How contradiction. What a contradiction.
Yeah. I mean, unless you're saying it to a prostitute. Don't buy prostitutes, people, but you suck. Thank you.
Oh my God. Anyway.
So, yeah. Then we go on to a segment, don't we?
Oh my God. You want to talk about the biggest busts of the night? Let's talk about the segment with Alexa Bliss that should have been. Well, we go into Elias getting interrupted by John Cena. That actually happened before Triple H and Batista.
Yeah. So we're kind of just
that went on before Triple H and Batista. Elias did a little cool concert thing. We thought that he was going to get interrupted by The Undertaker, but that didn't happen until the following night. But this time he would get interrupted by the Babe Ruth of the WWE, John Cena, or so the Doctor of Thugonomics, who completely delivers a little bit of busts a rhyme on Elias and completely puts him down.
You sounded so white saying that. You sounded absolutely you sounded freaking Barry Manilow white, sipping margaritas down in Margaritaville with Jimmy Buffett white there. What do you say? Busts a rhyme. Yeah, so Cena raps, essentially does his famous nut shtick, saying that Elias's face looks like his nuts, except with a hairier bush. And then he says, looks like I overstayed my welcome. It's time I leave you. But I won't give you the AA. I'll give you the FU. And then he FUs him.
Delivers the shot with the brass, the word life
brass knuckles, which was a good call.
The 5 knuckles shuffle, and then not the AA, but the FU on Elias. And then
which I want to know how many people understand why it was called the FU. Do you understand why it was called the FUF?
A lot of people don't, but back in 2003, John Cena broke out at Backlash going up against Brock Lesnar, and instead of the F5, John Cena had the FU.
Yep, bingo, right on the money. So
and you know what was a big FU to the WWE Universe at WrestleMania? Having Alexa Bliss come out and saying, kind of insinuating that there was going to be a massive interruption. This could maybe even be The Undertaker. It could be anybody big, but instead it's fucking R-Truth and Carmella with a dance break.
Yeah.
Complete boner kill.
Yeah, it was just
terrible.
It was what it was.
But as disappointing as that was, it is nowhere near as disappointing as the next match. For the Intercontinental Championship, for some reason, this is on second to last without a big surprise.
This is bad that I completely forgot how that match has gone. And keep in mind, WrestleMania happened Sunday as we are taping.
It
is only Wednesday.
I was talking to Cameron reviewing the show, and I said I'm really disappointed in the next match, and he was like, I know, it just didn't have the finish was wonky, and I'm like, that's exactly what I'm talking about, because you're talking about the main event, and you completely forgot that Finn Balor fought Bobby Lashley, and he's like, oh my God, and I'm like, that's my point exactly. Yeah. That match was so forgettable.
That's the worst part too, because it was marketed last minute that, oh, you're going to be facing the Demon. It's kind of like, oh, yeah.
You know what would have made that better? You know what would have made that moment better? Is when Finn Balor's holding up that championship, and then all of a sudden, you hear the gong. And then the Undertaker is in the ring looking at the Demon. And you have the Demon and the Dead Man storyline set for the 1,000th time that they're going to Saudi Arabia.
No,
but at least you have a good match set up.
It's all good, Everett, because, we're not going to think of storylines like that. We're just going to have Finn Balor hit the coup de grace on Bobby Lashley, and that's that. He won the title. Congratulations, 2-time champion Finn Balor. And
I am never gonna get that 4 minutes and 5 seconds back, and not to mention the 3 minutes of Finn Balor's entrance, which, let's face it, it was okay. But you know what? Come on, the complete waste of the match.
I feel the biggest issue with the Finn Balor Demon character is it does not get sold properly now. In NXT, it was sold properly. Now, not so much. The only time it was sold properly was SummerSlam, the build between him versus Rollins for the Universal Championship. And then
I was going to say, if you said him and Bray Wyatt,
which is funny because the Sister Abigail Demon feud killed the character.
Which one?
Both. Dude, you want to know how bad it killed him? It had to be scrapped, and then you had, because of Bray got sick, JoJo got sick, Dallas got sick, Roman got sick, and essentially kind of ruined that whole TLC card that year. But then you had the match with Finn Balor versus AJ Styles, and that's what everybody remembers. They don't even remember that the original match was supposed to be the Demon Finn Balor versus.
Yeah, they put that match on for no fucking reason, no build. That could have been a big hype match. But
we'll move on from that. We'll get to the main event now.
So now we go into the main event. Charlotte Flair, and I'm going to say the promo packages, the actual One Republic WrestleMania theme song, and the opener for WrestleMania. The opener for WrestleMania was very good, but the promo package was nicely done. After the promo package, Charlotte Flair is in a helicopter. Now this is where I'll give credit where credit is due.
This is like old-fashioned Ric Flair Starrcade 83 entrance, where he lands in the plane, he gets out the plane, he's in the robe and everything. I love that callback.
Amazing entrance, and this is where I give credit. While this entrance was happening, you obviously know this was pre-taped. This probably was going on in the middle of the Kofi match. Who knows? But nevertheless, when they are shooting this on the Tron, you see Charlotte Flair in a helicopter. There is an actual helicopter live over MetLife Stadium. So it actually did look like Charlotte Flair was in the helicopter at the time. And when they showed the helicopter landing, the helicopter was out of sight. Yep. So well done on the WWE's part with the helicopter. Charlotte Flair gets out of the helicopter, takes off the leather jacket, partially puts on the robe, and then jump cuts to the robe being perfectly on.
Yeah.
I'm just going to laugh and move on. I'm not even going to insult it because it actually did look pretty smooth. As smooth as it
this takes place, as they're seeing this, it transitions right into Joan Jett and the Blackhearts playing Ronda Rousey to the ring. Joan Jett
that was the disconnect. That was the disconnect. I would have had it been a full Charlotte Flair entrance. I wouldn't have done the helicopter and then go to Ronda and then go back to Charlotte. I would have had it been where it was just a full-out Charlotte Flair
entrance. Yeah, because I felt like what should have happened is that's exactly what should have happened. Is the helicopter comes out and then Charlotte comes out. But you know what would be cool is if kind of like the if she got like some cool like kind of custom like walk music while she gets there, and then boom,
Yeah.
then that's when her theme comes in. Like imagine if she walked through, and as she was walking through, there's like kind of Batista took it, but all these bodyguards are lined up, and she's walking through each and every one of them, and they're kind of standing to the side, like kind of similar to Taker, like with the druids. But then when she walked past them, they turn around, and they all like kind of turn around, and they all have like Ric Flair style shades on. It would be pretty cool. And then that's when she gets to the ring and everything. I felt like that would have been perfect. But yeah, it's very weird to see the disconnect. It goes to Ronda's entrance, which was, with the Ronda Rousey entrance with Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, Joan Jett can wail. Then it goes to Charlotte's entrance, which is her regular entrance. And then
just
it goes
a little bit of, good pyro. Yeah. Ronda's entrance was my favorite entrance of the night. Becky has a pretty good entrance. Nothing crazy. It just, simple as Becky Lynch is simple. Yeah. Just a little bit of Becky Lynch smoke. I thought it was cool. 3 amazing attires. It was really exciting when the match was first announced that this is the winner take all for the Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah.
It was really special. Couldn't really hear what the ring announcer said after that.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, that's when Charlotte came in the helicopter. Match starts, really nice back and forth. What I liked about this match was it didn't look synchronized. It looked like a real fight.
It looked like a real fight. Like all 3 of them hated each other. I loved it. There's a spot where Charlotte's got the Boston Crab on Ronda, and Becky runs into the ring and breaks it up. I didn't realize it until Twitter points it out, and some guy goes, "Did you notice that right before Becky Lynch breaks up the Boston Crab, she flips off the double bird to Ronda Rousey?" And I was like, she did. And I looked at it, and she fucking did. She flipped the double bird to Ronda, broke up the submission.
Charlotte Flair would then deliver some chops to Ronda, and Ronda would say to her, "You chop like a bitch." And then Charlotte would say, "Oh, I chop like a bitch," and chops her up some more.
Yeah.
These women were all talking shit to one another pretty toughly. It was great to hear them talking shit, but the ring mic was...
There was a part where Becky kicks Charlotte, and she says, "Taste my foot, you little weirdo."
That was stiff as a board. I remember that. She does a backside kick, and it was a complete blow to the face, stiff as possible. If that had to have been real. If that was unless Becky Lynch learned how to kick from Novin. That looked like she took Charlotte's head off, and that had to have connected to the jawline, to the mandible. Unbelievable kick.
And then
they were really hitting each other.
Yeah.
And I thought they were really going to war, and they're calling each other a bitch. They're doing all this. And then my favorite part is Becky's looking for the Bexploder off the top, and Charlotte grabs onto Becky's tights for leverage. And I think Becky told her, watch the tights. These are really nicely made, because I noticed Charlotte cracks a bit of a smile. It's very easy to see on the camera when she goes for the Bexploder. Check it out. It's actually pretty funny.
I know this is when the Bexploder hits. I think that's when the table is introduced.
Well, before that, that's when Ronda locks in the double armbar, and they hit the trifecta of power bombs. This is where I'm a little mad at the...
I think it was 3 times.
Yeah, well, I know it's 3 times because the mic, the mic in the ring was so loud. You even hear Ronda moaning in pain, and then she goes, one more. I can't believe her freaking doing it. I was like, no.
There's also a cool little thing that when I was watching it and I first saw, Ronda's the side of her shin is fucked up. It's bruised. It's it is straight up bruised. Somebody was
when Ronda does an armbar across the rope, it's kind of like when she hung upside down with Charlotte across the rope, and Becky comes in and takes them down.
And she lands hit first on the apron.
Oh my God. Ronda takes a beating like no one else ever before in the WWE.
Yeah.
She takes so many hits. That kendo stick thing at Survivor Series, I give Ronda a lot of credit. That is a tough bitch. She is the baddest bitch on the planet.
I do not undersell that. Ronda dishes it, but she takes it too. She's not one of those it's not like WrestleMania 17 where China beat up Ivory. It's not like that. It's much more of Ronda gets hit and then she gives you hit. She fucking punches you, but she takes the punch back. And that's her MMA background, and that's kind of shows you the person that she is. She does trust the people that she's in the ring with, and they trust her.
And Charlotte now Charlotte gets a little bit of canvas burn going into that figure eight. She scrapes up her elbow on the canvas. You can see the cut starts to open up a bit more. Right before Becky Lynch drops the big leg off the top. And then eventually this is where they bring in the table and Exodus Charlotte Flair.
I want to go before that because there's a line that I want to go over. Because I went over the Becky line, and then I'm going to go over my Ronda line of the night. Where Ronda thinks about putting, I think it was Becky I think it was Becky.
Oh, yeah, she pushes
the table over, Becky on, and she says, the tables are for bitches.
That's why you like tables. Tables are for bitches. That's why you like tables.
What's funny is Ronda's little heel turn is her saying, "No more Mrs. Nice Bitch." And then she says, "Tables are for bitches." And then she calls herself the baddest bitch on the planet. So it's like, I'm confused. Will you use the table or will you not use the table?
I think her favorite word is bitch because in the nearing the end of the match, she goes for a running shoulder tackle on I think it was Becky, and as she's running, she goes, "Bitch!" And I'm like, oh my God. So, she loves saying bitch, and it was great.
So then we'll get to Charlotte getting put through the table because she was looking for a double spear on Ronda and Becky. They both, I believe, hip tosser into the Spanish announce table where it just did not break this time.
Unfortunately, they had the Triple H Dave Batista luck with the tables rather than the Miz and Shane McMahon luck. So, no table bust. Nevertheless, Charlotte is
done.
Muerte out of the match.
And then Ronda picks up Becky for the Piper's Pit, which I love.
Well, before that, she hits a nasty Shining Wizard, and then she rolls through into the Piper's Pit. And then this is where me and Cam kind of disagree.
And I think you and I are going to butt heads on this too.
I don't know, but nevertheless, she hits the Piper's Pit. Becky Lynch reverses into the crucifix, or for UWE fans, the Dirty DeChico-like, diseased DeChico-like. He's a member of the Stark Supremacy, of course.
Oh my God.
The diseased DeChico-like shield and sword for the controversial 3 count at 21 minutes and 30 seconds. Now, this is what I'm going to say. Cam's argument was that this was a botch and that this was supposed to be where Becky Lynch was supposed to kick out. Well, Ronda was supposed to kick out and Becky was supposed to roll into the disarmor and have Ronda tap. My argument is that this wasn't meant to be a botch, but Becky Lynch was supposed to win with the crucifix roll-up. And the reason why, and this is why it did get wonky. When you do a crucifix, because I know I've taken it at Ultimate Redemption from Dirty DeChico. When you take a crucifix and you land, you have to have your legs over your head. And that's what gives the momentum of your shoulders being down. With Becky Lynch, my mistake, I'll use my example. With Dirty DeChico over, behind me on his side, if my legs went back, if my legs fell over him and created a bridge, naturally my shoulders would come up a bit.
Yep.
So what's supposed to happen to Ronda was, and it's not Ronda's fault, she just got into wrestling and you're not taught at school how to sell a crucifix. But normally you're supposed to have your legs in the air, and that's what allows your shoulders to be down. But her legs go over Becky Lynch, and her feet are actually touching the canvas, which creates a bridge. And because Becky is under the bridge, that naturally causes Ronda Rousey's shoulders to involuntarily be lifted off of the mat because of the laws of physics. So, no, Ronda's shoulders were not supposed to be down, but they were supposed to be down, but because of the way that Ronda took the crucifix for that first second, Ronda's shoulders were, off the mat, and then she had to quickly correct it. The referee didn't want to bust the count because this is the main event of WrestleMania, and this is the end match. You can't go rogue. This is the schedule.
Yeah,
so they'll take it with a little bit of controversy.
Yeah, so what very kind of sold this of I don't think this was supposed to happen is Ronda immediately stands up after she got pinned like that. Kind of like the polar opposite of what happened with Velveteen Dream and Matt Riddle at TakeOver. She pops up and she goes, "What the fuck?" She goes, "What the hell?" She's like, "What the hell's going on?" and everything. And if you look through, after the 3 count and they're announcing, if you look at the commentators, a lot of them are confused. And I was like, I don't think that's necessarily how it was supposed to go. However, WrestleMania was already running overtime as it was.
So do you think that Becky was supposed to get the 3 count with the crucifix, or do you think that she was going to make Ronda tap out to the disarm?
Here's the thing. Both are plausible. One happened. The other didn't.
Which one do you think was supposed to happen?
The one that was supposed to happen is probably the pinfall. The reason I think the pinfall was supposed to happen is I don't think they're going to have Ronda tap out to the disarmer. Not because of feud or anything. I just think that would be not the way that you'd think Ronda would go out. If Ronda is injured, because apparently she broke her hand, the way she comes back is versus Becky. And guess what? You have it marketed as a submission-only match. Submission.
Well, not only that, but Becky could easily, Ronda could easily come out and say, even though you don't have to review it, you don't have to show, obviously they're going to make you forget about it, but when Ronda comes out, Ronda could say, you know damn well you did not pin me at WrestleMania, and boom, you have already lit the fire for Becky versus Ronda either at SummerSlam or at WrestleMania in Tampa Bay. And that will set up perfectly for that matchup, and people will be invested.
Yeah.
And yes, I agree that Ronda Rousey is a UFC Hall of Famer.
There's going to be a round 2. It sets up for the round 2.
There is no way possible that Becky Lynch could make Ronda. It wasn't believable. It wouldn't be believable that Becky Lynch could tap out Ronda Rousey, in my opinion.
Yeah, not yet. And I feel like I'm very happy that they had Becky win.
Me too.
I was for certain that Charlotte was going to take the pin or she was going to take the disarmer. Which I'm glad that it happened the way it happened.
The fans would have taken that as an injustice.
It did not look the greatest. And honestly, it was what it was. Was it the ending that I wanted in the main event? No. It was the ending I got, though. So I can't really bitch about it. Can't really complain about it. It is what it is. It was still a good match. Yeah, the finish is wonky. But shit, did you know that the WrestleMania 17 with Rock and Austin, which is considered, one of the greatest WrestleManias of all time, ended with Rock getting hit with a bunch of times with the chair. He didn't even take a stunner. He didn't take he didn't, there was no rock bottom that was hit or anything for a 3 count. It was Austin beat up the Rock a lot of times with the chair, and they got the 3 count. So,
what an unbelievable finish. One of my favorite finishes of all time.
So, overall, WrestleMania 35, I have already watched it more times than I have watched 34. So it kind of shows you that it was a good Mania. I like a Mania that I can go back and I can watch moments on. The Kofi Kingston moment, Triple H versus Batista, the Elias concert. Honestly, those are things, and then I rewatched Rollins versus Lesnar. I already watched more like more segments on 35 than I have on 34. And what's funny was you and I watched 34 together. And looking back at 34, wasn't there was some
other than the Ronda Angle Triple H and Stephanie match and the Undertaker versus John Cena spectacle, 34 was a bit of a bust.
Yeah, like 35 honestly was a lot better. Do I think that WrestleMania will be happening in MetLife Center, as Hulk Hogan says, for a time being? No. I think.
No, they're going to take a couple years to go elsewhere.
I think it's because the weather played a great part, and that's why I was kind of disappointed in the stage just being a giant screen. I think that's because they had to kind of accommodate with the weather at the last minute. Also, you have to take into effect that it was a bitch for you to probably get home, and it was a bitch for a lot of people to get home. And
I got lucky, and I was saying this earlier, I got to owe my dad a big thank you because as soon as Becky Lynch got the 3 count, me and my dad busted out of there. I was a little disappointed because I wanted to see the firework display. If I had seen that firework display, instead of getting home at 3 o'clock in the morning, actually 2 o'clock in the morning is the time I got home. Instead of getting home at 2 o'clock in the morning, had I seen that firework display, which is only a 2-minute difference, I would have been getting out of MetLife Stadium at 3 o'clock in the morning. Mm-hmm. So people were literally getting out of the stadium at 3
and literally, also, there was a picture that was going around of a lot of people waiting due to them trying to get transportation out of the arena. That there was somebody that was there until 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. New Jersey Transportation blamed the event for it, which they've actually done before.
It's WrestleMania. Do you honestly think that they're going to end the show at 10:30?
What's funny is the same exact argument that they gave when, which is funny. We're going to go totally off topic. Where this happened many times with MetLife. So and access was held at a very weird part of New York. Wasn't held near the Barclays Center or anything. It was like in a separate part. And then Barclays Center there's a lot of mileage between MetLife and Barclays and all that shit. So overall, Mania 35 was good. I don't think New York / New Jersey will get another Mania for a couple of years.
Honestly, because they got to learn,
this was the Mania where the majority of the right people won the matches. Like, unlike 34, like
Lesnar, 33.
Yeah, 33 is like you had a lot of the wrong people win the matches.
Jericho should have beat Kevin Owens. The Miz should have beat John Cena. Bray Wyatt should have beat Randy Orton. Undertaker should have beaten Roman Reigns.
It is. That was 2 years ago now. So overall,
honestly, the only people that won that should have was AJ and
overall, 35 I thought was good. The WrestleMania week was pretty good. TakeOver was a great start, like usual, to WrestleMania weekend. The Hall of Fame was great with the inductions. The induction speeches were all kind of humble and honest. Unfortunate incident happened at the Hall of Fame. WrestleMania 35. Pretty great kickstart besides the pre-show with Rollins and Lesnar kicking off the show. We have a couple memorable segments such as Alexa snapping her fingers at the opening of the show. Hulk Hogan appeared, called it the MetLife Center, went into the stadium. The bleach blonde dye is getting into the roots of his brain. He needs some hope.
I don't know what you're talking about. WrestleMania 35 was a spectacular in the MetLife Center.
I enjoyed it. I would honestly, if we're going to do a number, I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10.
Oh God, I am not doing it. I will not do a Dave Meltzer.
Oh no, I'm not going to give. I'm not doing the. That's why I'm not doing the stars. I'm doing 7.5 out of 10.
Oh, you're gonna. All right. Overall, I'll say 7.5 is.
There's great strengths in that. And the show, but there's also very, very flawed things that happen. Just a couple things kind of you would get momentum built up, and then that momentum would get killed instantly. And that's what I felt like the biggest thing happened. Because after the first half, after Kofi versus Bryan, that's when the card dragged.
Yeah, because it went on to like
it's
1
because
o'clock
you
in the
had your
morning.
most emotional moment of the show happen in the middle of the show, and it killed the.
Well, we're gonna wrap it up with this. WWE, if you're listening to this, which I doubt you are, but if you're listening to this, cut an hour out of the pre-show. That'll definitely make things a lot easier for all of us.
I don't need 8 hours of wrestling, thank you. You gave me the WWE network. If I wanted 8 hours, I would stay home and watch the network all day.
But nevertheless, very good show. Nevertheless, Kofi winning was an amazing moment, as was Becky, as was Seth. The Iconics was awesome as well. Just a spectacular event here at the MetLife Center.
I hate you.
Whistler, any other comments?
So much. I hate you so much. Hulk Hogan, I hope you can figure out what the difference between the center and the stadium is. I don't know. Jen, why were we here today? I think it was because of WrestleMania week. We're big wrestling fans. But Jen, why are we going to be here on the next episode? That's a question. What should we talk about?
Well, I have the answer to that, as a matter of fact. Gen Y Are We Here next time will be because of Gen Y. We're going to be talking about the formation of the Gen Y faction.
Get some juicy little secrets from both Everett and I about Gen Y.
Yes, so if you are a TXW observer, a TXW...
We'll go over some stuff. Overall, I think that'll be a good episode as well. Well, I think it will be a 2 hour and 26 minutes.
I don't think it's going to go 225,
so.
Mainly because we had NXT TakeOver, the Hall of Fame, and the biggest event, the longest event of the year, WrestleMania.
Yeah, so overall, I think that's it. If everybody liked the show, I think definitely let us know. If you've got questions, especially for that Gen Y podcast that we're going to do next week, if you want us to go over a couple things, feel free to do so. Hell, we'll probably do a Q&A portion of the podcast a little later on. And if this goes well, we might actually do that episode live.
Absolutely.
So just let us know what you think. This is, like I said, this is a test run. This is literally an idea that Everett and I have had for about, a month now? Of doing this. We kind of wanted to do this because we talked forever with each other about this, and I thought it'd be just cool. We thought it would just be cool to kind of let other people hear our conversation.
If anyone has any questions, I mean, as far as
Twitter,
this
Twitter,
podcast,
let's plug our Twitters really quick. Mine is the Batman DDT. Everett's is at the Self Supremacy on Twitter. Also,
capital S's.
Yeah, capital S's, and capital T, capital B, capital D, and the Batman DDT. Also, if you just feel free to make a comment in the video, make a comment on this cast. If you have any questions, if you got any constructive criticism on it, I know that this is definitely a test run. This is our first episode. So like I said, feel free to criticize, say, hey, you should kind of focus more on this, kind of, do whatever.
Yeah, honestly,
whatever makes it easier what makes it easier for you guys, but also includes you, I have no issue with. If you have some agreements, if you have some disagreements with us, feel free just to let us know. It's like, hey, I didn't like your point on this. This is what I thought. Or it's like, I totally agree with you on this. I didn't see this way. So
pretty much what Whistler is trying to say is, if you agree with me and think Whistler should go fuck himself for liking Heavy Machinery, feel free to comment that below.
And if you like Otis and the Caterpillar in the B team, feel free to call Everett a dunce and a thing out of his own breath, a parasitic hypocrite. So. That was Gen Y Are We Here? So I think we went pretty swell. We're going in just around 2.5 hours, and so I think it's time that our welcome has run out. Our welcome has run out. I must leave you. We are not going to give you the AA, but we're going to give you the FU.
That's not very nice. Anyway, I mean,
Just said it. Okay. By the way, if you actually
No, you're done. You're done.
Yeah.
That you went out on the heel note. Guys,
Okay.
next time it's going to be the formation of Gen Y, the inside story. If you're a TXW fan, TXW loyalist, observer, you want to hear the inside on the formation of Gen Y.
We'll probably just talk about
know.
CAW in general as well. I think because there's some good stuff besides us.
Absolutely. So, with that being said, and if you guys have any requests, any topics, whether it be UW, TXW,
feel free to
anything really, we're going to be talking about outside of wrestling stuff too. Whether it be Star Wars, Batman, comics, whatever.
Yeah, I think we got a Star Wars episode planned, and we actually
we got a lot of stuff planned out. So, individual characters and their runs. Individual superstars and their runs
just
as well.
Talking about the stuff that we like. I think a little later on, I think we'll kind of actually do like explain like the podcast why we're doing this as well. So, our Gen Y over here,
Sounds good. All right, you guys. We thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next time on Gen Y Are We Here? Because of Gen Y, we hope you enjoyed Gen Y Are We Here because of WrestleMania weekend. This is Everett and Whistler signing out. Have a good night, everybody.